President, today marks 6 months since fire tore through Lahaina and upcountry Maui. We continue to see the heart and resilience of our communities as we recover and remember the lives lost. As recovery efforts continue, I am grateful to the thousands of people who have come together from literally all over the world to support our neighbors on Maui. Maui's recovery will take time, resources, and continuity of effort. I will keep working with my partners to ensure Maui has the resources it needs to recover and rebuild. On a separate, very important note, Mr. President, the National Security Supplemental Package we are debating demonstrates our strong support for our allies at a time of rising global instability, recognizing that an investment in our partners is also an investment in our own national security. While the funding for Ukraine, Israel, and the Indo-Pacific currently included in this bill is critical, missing from this bill is the text of the recently renegotiated Compact of Free Association. Agreements with the Pacific Island nations, Palau, Micronesia, and the Marshall Islands. In exchange for economic assistance, the Compacts of Free Association provide our country with exclusive military access to these countries and their territorial waters. With their strategic location in the South Pacific, these countries provide a strategic buffer between the United States and China. At a time of rising tensions in the Pacific, these compacts are a critical component of our ability to operate in the Pacific, especially as we work to counter China's growing influence in this region. Our military leaders have unanimously pointed out the importance of these compacts. Most recently, Admiral Paparo, nominated to lead U.S. military operations in the Indo-Pacific, reiterated the importance of the compacts in his confirmation hearing recently. These compacts date back more than 40 years, but our relationship with these island nations dates back to World War II. First agreed to in the early 1980s, the compacts have to be renegotiated and approved by Congress every 20 years. Over the past 4 years, U.S. negotiators have worked with their counterparts in the COFA nations to agree to new compacts that will govern our relationship with these countries for the next 20 years. Imagine if we get this done with this bill, we will have accomplished what we need to do in our relationship and support for our compact nation allies for the next 20 years. Mr. President, these compacts have broad bipartisan support, including from both the chairs and ranking members of the Foreign Relations, Armed Services, and Energy and Natural Resources committees. These are the committees of jurisdiction over these compacts. They understand how critical these agreements are to our posture and readiness in the Pacific. And the harmful message, frankly, the harmful message it would send if we do not get these compacts agreed to. Now, believe me, China is watching to see what we do in our support for our island friends. And in fact, just this week, the presidents of all three compact nations, Palau, Micronesia, and the Marshall Islands, sent a letter to Congress in which they wrote, quote, "Although we understand the delay in the legislation's approval, it has generated uncertainty among our peoples. As much as they identify with and appreciate the United States, this has resulted in undesirable opportunities for economic exploitation by competitive political actors active in the region." Of course, they are talking about China. As I mentioned, China is watching and would love nothing more than for the U.S. to fall or to fail to pass these compacts. Failure for the U.S. would present China with a golden opportunity to bring the COFA nations close to their sphere of influence, significantly undermining our credibility and ability to operate in this region. Beyond the serious national security implications of the compacts, nearly 100,000 citizens of the COFA nations live, work, and pay taxes in our country. Moreover, COFA citizens enlist in our military at higher rates than U.S. citizens. With this bill, we stand with our allies, yes, but the compact nations are our allies in the Pacific. We're not just talking about our allies in Europe. These compact nations are our allies in the Pacific, just as important to our national security. We are introducing an amendment with strong bipartisan support to add to this bill the text of the compacts. And I thank Senator Risch, the lead sponsor of this amendment, for his leadership and partnership in this effort. As we work to support our allies around the globe, I urge my colleagues to stand with our COFA partners and support our amendment. Mr. President, I yield.